When I first started teaching, I knew that I was presenting the students with information that was really important to them, really important to their understanding and their application of the material in their future careers. And I assumed that the students would understand that too, and learn very quickly, of course, that they don't. So I started to structure my approach to introduce the theory to them, but also to make it tangible, make it real, and to explain to them why what we were covering was so important and why they needed to learn it. So I made a conscious decision to scaffold the approach. The approach that I use is to first introduce them to theoretical material, and I do that through module books that capture the key aspects, the frameworks, the models, the tools, the techniques that the students need to know in order to succeed in their course. But that's not enough on its own. So they read the module books first and then they come to their first lecture. And during the lecture, we discuss what it is that they've covered in the module books. We talk about different examples of how that might be used in industry. I ask them questions, I get them to give me feedback, I get them to start thinking about what this actually means in reality. And I make the connections between the courses they're studying and their eventual careers tangible. From the lecture, they move into the workshop. In the workshop, they'll have a practical exercise that they need to complete. Now, this will be a real activity. So, for example, in one of my courses, we look at human-computer interaction. And in that course, one of their topics is around evaluation and testing. So their workshop exercise was to take an actual product that a client of mine had developed and run a usability evaluation and test against that. They had the advantage then of actually testing a real application that they knew was for a real client and that was live. The client, of course, had the advantage that I gave them heaps of feedback on just how usable their product was. But the students were applying the theoretical material that we'd actually covered in the modules. Once they've done that, they can see the connection between theory and application, and then they can take that and apply it to their major assessment item. So in the course HCI, their major assessment item is to develop a design brief. They're challenged with actually developing a real set of designs for an industry client. And they know that the best of the designs that are produced are going to be forwarded to the client at the end of the semester. That tends to be really motivating for them to actually try and to realise that this is real. This isn't a theoretical application. This isn't just some academic exercise. This is a real client with a real need. And so they apply themselves. The techniques that they've learned in the workshops, they can apply within the design brief. They get the exposure right all the way through the cycle, from theory to practice, from actually looking at why something is important, applying it to where it sits within their career, and then producing a tangible outcome for an industry client. They're engaged, they're switched on, and they learn sometimes without even realising they're learning.